7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off, rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn 1051, We Are. For supporting us. So I am Reverend J. Wolin, the settled minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. We especially want to welcome our visitors, both on campus as well as live stream on YouTube. And we invite you to consider registering in our guest book, either our virtual guest book online at uusrq.org. And if you do that as well, we invite, okay. And as well as a sign-up sheet right outside the building here at the welcome table to sign up as well. And if you do, you'll get our weekly newsletter as well as some links to Zoom events that are happening. And as always, we encourage you to join us for coffee and conversation in the courtyard after the service. We look forward to getting to know each other. We do have one special, that's very interesting. Okay, so it's very interesting how these things happen, is that I actually pulled up today is June 16th, is it not? Yeah, it's funny how those things work. The week just sort of gets away with me. Well, it's June, and it's 2024, so I was close. Anyway, the special announcement today is that the Arts Council is proud to present an exhibition of works by our local LGBTQ community. Enjoy these beautiful paintings, sculptures, and textiles by talented artists. So help us celebrate Pride Month by joining us in the Lexow Gallery after the service. It is now my pleasure and honor to invite up ContinUUm, our band, our new UU band.
It's really great to see all you here. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Yeah. Okay, we're going to start with a song called Teach Your Children. It was written in 1970 by Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And thank you all, fathers, for teaching your children. Hit it, guys.
One they pick is the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh and know they love you. Woo-hoo! Slowly go by and see them on your dreams. The one they pick is the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why.
Don't ask.
If they told them you would cry.
Don't cry.
Just look at them and sigh and know they love you.
Take it,
Okay,
guys.
take it away, Sharon.
Thank you. Our opening reading today is by Maxine Kingston, entitled The Woman Warrior. When we are born, we have curses and gifts from our parents and ancestors that come from way back, generation after generation. We work on them and with them. They are terrible problems and hardships, the most difficult questions of humanity, such as why war and what is love? They are also gifts, because we have the opportunity to come up with the most beautiful answers. And now, as we light our chalice, please join me in affirming the first principle of Unitarian Universalism, which will be up on the screen. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. And now I am thankful and excited to invite up Miriam Snyder to do our words for all ages. Yes.
Good morning. Today's story is Daddies Do It Different, written by Alan Lawrence Sitomer and illustrated by Abby Carter. When Mommy gets me dressed in the morning, I look extra cute. My blouse is clean, my shoes have style, and my socks always match my shirt. But daddies do it different. Stripes collide with plaid, my barrettes are crazy crooked, and sometimes my head pops through the shirt sleeve. When Mommy feeds me breakfast, it's always really yummy. I sit nicely at the table, munch a piece of toast, and we talk about our plans for the day. But daddies do it different. We make a fort with waffles. We get syrup on the dog and eat cereal straight out of the box. At the market, Mommy drives me in the cart. She reads lots of different labels and uses coupons to save our family money. But daddies do it different. He gobbles down the free samples, drives our shopping cart like a race car, and puts bananas up his nose to try and make me laugh. In the kitchen, Mommy teaches me how to mix sauces. Daddy shows me how to juggle eggs. When I leave the house with Mommy, she packs a tasty snack, brings a bit of juice, and takes an extra sweater. But daddies do it different. He grabs his cell phone, checks his wallet, then spends 10 minutes trying to find his stupid car keys. At the park, Mommy puts sunscreen on my face. Daddy pulls a muscle on the monkey bars. At birthday parties, Mommy chats with other parents, and Daddy eats 3 pieces of cake. When Mommy does her makeup, she lets me put on blush, try on her shoes, and jingle lots of bracelets. But daddies do it different. He shows me how to shave, teaches me to gargle, and then uses gobs of hair gel to give my curls pizzazz. When Mommy gets her nails done, I sometimes get mine painted too. When Daddy watches Sunday sports, I sometimes see him cry. Mommy smiles when we play tic-tac-toe. Daddy gets mad because I whoop him. In the bath, Mommy gets me clean and fresh. She washes me top to bottom, and I play with my favorite toys. And when it's time to come out, she wraps me in a nice fluffy towel. But daddies do it different. A billion bubbles fill the tub, water floods the floor, and when we're done, Daddy is just as wet as I am. At bedtime, Mommy dims the lights, dresses me in a clean pair of jammies, and we never forget to brush my teeth. But daddies do it different. With 1,000 kooky voices, Daddy reads me silly stories. We jump like kangaroos. And he tickles me so much, I get crazy hyper nuts. When it's finally time to go to sleep, Mommy tucks me under my blankie, gives me a tender kiss, and tells me just how much she loves me. And daddies do it the exact same way. So this story seems a little foreign to me because I don't remember fathers acting this way when I was growing up. Today it seems clear that the role of men in relationship to their families has changed, and more men are being asked or have to step into the role of caregiver, and frankly, they just don't have as much practice on what that looks like. But then, who's to say that the way women give care is better? Men are breaking the norms, and maybe we can all learn something from this change. Maybe, like the story says, daddies just do it different. Thank you. So I now invite any children and youth to join Ms. Mary Lou and Ms. Sharon in the back. And they're going to the West Wing for an art project and some fun.
This little song for my father does things that no other can do. As I sing it to you, it has a rhythm and rhyme that will fasten in test memory in time. As his beauty shines through. For though my mind and soul, my heart will always hold a special place for him. It's true. Subate, subabum, babawi, suru, idididum, bididi. Sulutu, sulutu, tui, subabum, bui, subati, tuidi, zibit. Subawi, zabui, sundam, bundam, dade. We bow our heads as we pray every day's Father's Day. Let's review all that he means to you. Our mother's love is so nice, but our dad sacrificed for us too. Now let us give him his due. We're very proud to be in his biography. We sing this song for him and you. For through my mind and soul, my heart will always hold a special place for him. It's true, it's true, it's true.
Thank you. We are blessed with just an abundance of beautiful music today. Our centering in words today is a Father's Day prayer by in a random coincidence, and I really don't believe in coincidences, is by Molly Housh Gordon, who is going to be leading the General Assembly Sunday service next Sunday, which we will be watching here as our Sunday service. So, and this is her prayer for Father's Day. On this Father's Day Sunday, we join our hearts with all who celebrate and give thanks, with all who grieve, and with all who experience bitter sweetness. We join our hearts on this day with all who celebrate new life, new phases of life, a good night's sleep at last, a new kind of relationship emerging at last, a tender dream unfolding at last. We join our hearts on this day with all who grieve, the loss of a father or grandfather, the loss of a child, the loss of a possibility or of a dream of parenthood, the loss of ease in relationship with father or child. We join our hearts on this day with all who sit in bittersweet tenderness, for complicated relationships and evolving relationships, for hard, right choices, for necessarily letting go, for waiting and wondering and hoping and worrying, for the endings that are also beginnings and the beginnings that are also endings, for disappointment and acceptance, for the full breath of messy human love. And we join our hearts on this day with all who give thanks for nurturing parenting from every source, for the sacrifices made and the hopes held in our behalf, for all that we have learned from fathers, mentors, and teachers in our lives, and for the love that holds and binds us together in every experience, age, and stage. May it be so. Let us take a moment in silence to remember all of those people, mentors, teachers, fathers, parents. So what is it between father and children? You know, I sat at the lap of my grandfather and father, and I heard stories of adventure and challenge and fun, of triumph, of tragedy, and also I imagine some myth as well that has been passed down from generations in my family. And not only my family, but throughout all of history, stories and myths of father and children often speak to the alienation of fathers and their children, and in many cases, their ultimate reconciliation. In Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus, upon greeting his father after returning home after 10 years, pretends to be someone else who just knew his son, and then upon seeing the pain in his father's voice and in his actions, finally revealed himself to his father. From the Jewish scriptures, we have the story of Abraham sending his firstborn son Ishmael out into the wilderness. And in another story, at the commandment of God, Abraham is ordered to sacrifice his other son, Isaac. And at the last minute, Abraham does not kill Isaac. And after the event, not only does Isaac understandably never talk to Abraham, his father, again, but Abraham is never recorded talking to God again as well in the Bible. Although parent and child were not reconciled in these cases, upon Abraham's death, Isaac and Ishmael are reunited when they come together to bury their father. There's a story of Isaac's son Jacob having to flee after being estranged from his father and brother, after tricking his father into giving him his brother's blessing, only to return years later and reconcile with his brother. And Joseph, the youngest son of Jacob, is sold into slavery by his brothers and is estranged from his father for many years and until they are reunited when Joseph saves the entire family from famine. Each generation, the pattern of these stories continues and evolves, estrangement and reconciliation. In the Christian scriptures, this motif continues with the story of the prodigal son in the Gospel of Luke, where the youngest son receives his share of his father's property and goes off and squanders it partying, and then returns later and reconciles with his father, much, in this case, with his older brother's consternation. And I could not think of a more stark example of this motif than Mark's gospel, as Jesus cries out as he is dying on the cross, my Father, why have you abandoned me?" And as I look through my DVD collection, yes, I actually still have a DVD. I don't use it all that often. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I take a portable DVD. But yes, I still have a DVD player and many DVDs. And I look through mine, and we tell the same stories over and over and over again. I think of one of my favorite movies, Field of Dreams, right? A son yearns to reconcile with his now deceased father. In What a Girl Wants, a daughter yearns to know her father after their long separation. And going now to a different species, in Madagascar 2, Escape to Africa, my granddaughter's favorite movie growing up, which I had to watch like almost every day for 2 years, so I know it very well. Alex the lion wants his father to accept him for the lion that he is, an urban dancing lion, versus a lion his father expects him to be, a ferocious, hunter. And also, since we're talking about lions, how about Lion King, where the son tries to avoid the responsibilities of leadership that were expected of him, and then returns many years later to save the day. And is there anyone here, I just want to, anyone here who has not seen the Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars movies? If so, okay, you might want to close your ears. There's going to be a spoiler alert here. I mean, it was over 30 years ago, so I think, if you've had the chance. So, Darth Vader, the evil Sith Lord, right, says to the plucky hero Luke Skywalker, "Luke, you are my son." And then in Return of the Jedi, the next movie, it is Luke's belief in his father that they end up reconciling with each other just before Darth Vader dies. So why do we always talk? Why does our culture always bring up this sort of discussion about estrangement of fathers and children and eventual reconciliation? I think it stems from the fact that fathers and children were often estranged from each other, whether physically or emotionally. In our history, mythology, the fathers were the hunters who left for periods of time to bring food to the family. And this was often fraught with danger, and they would often not return. Even more recently, thinking of my own family, my great-grandfather, who left Eastern Europe to come to America, and then as he earned money, he slowly sent money back to bring over his wife and children and other relatives over a long number of years. So maybe fatherhood's isolation was culturally formed by the knowledge that they were going to leave their family, whether to hunt or to a new world, and the possibility of not returning was real, and that created this sort of fear of alienation and hope for future reconciliation. Yet the world has changed now, obviously. In all likelihood, when I go out to the grocery store to get food, it's all likelihood I'm going to come home and I'm not going to be in danger. But still, a couple of 100,000 years of evolution makes it hard to change how we think. But we must change how we think if we are to thrive as a society. I believe we are trained to be who we are in this sort of mindset, this cultural mindset, right? From a very young age, we're raised to believe, right, that winning meant beating someone else versus being our best selves, right? That we all have certain roles to play in society and family, but it starts insidiously with games. When I was young, I was taught card games, and my family never let me win, but that did make me a great card player, actually. But then next, but it was that message of you want to strive to win, you want to improve, to win all the time. And then next, I was indoctrinated by playing organized sports. I played Little League for approximately 5 years when I was a youngster. And for those of you who never played or had children in organized Little League, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here today, okay? The worst player always plays right field, and the second worst usually plays second base. Now, they have to let you play at least 3 innings because you pay the fee. But trust me, when you are a child, if you play right field, you know you are the worst player on the team. And yes, I played right field and second base 4 of the 5 years. But then something I will only call miraculous happened. When I reported for my 5th season of Little League, our coaches were a couple of hippies. And I mean, really, it was the 60s, but looking back on it, I do find it kind of incredible that they would allow these guys to be coaches. I mean, usually the coaches were the parents of the best player on the team, you know, who always wanted their child to become a professional player so that they could live vicariously through them. And so they drove everyone to try and win every game so their child would get recognition. But I remember the first practice I went to with these hippie coaches, and as I picked up my glove, resigned to another year of right field and second base, I heard one of them say, what position would you like to play? What position would I like to play? Like, it was sort of an alien question to me at the time. You know, I was dumbstruck. What do I want to play? Not the role that was given to me by others. What do I want to do? So I said, I'd like to play catcher. So they say, okay, you're the catcher. It was pretty shocking, actually. And at the end of each game, our team never had more runs than the other team, but we always felt like winners, which really annoyed the other team as well. So now, I probably could have used a little more coaching and training because I had no idea how to be a catcher, honestly. But baseball had finally become fun for me. I was excited to come to the ball field and play. Just play for the fun of it without the pressure of winning. And so I realized exactly how much fun it was when I came back from my 6th year of baseball, and the league must have gotten wind of these radical coaches because they were nowhere to be found. But I came back fully expecting to play catcher and having fun, and when I arrived at the field, the coach told me to head out to right field. Well, I never played another game of Little League again, actually. No. Some looked at it as if I had quit. But I looked at it that I was not willing to accept the old way of doing things. I was not willing to limit my potential for learning, creativity, and fun. Right? What I learned from this experience was a paradigm shift in my life. Right? Once you see a new way of thinking, a new way of living, a new way of being, you can't go back to the old way of doing things anymore. You want to keep doing things in a way that feeds your soul and leads you to fulfillment. And this is the new metaphor of life that I created for myself. I realized that scoring more runs than the other team was not the most important thing in the world. What was important and what is still important is trying new things, is pushing to the envelope to expand and learn our limits, experimenting and failing and experimenting some more, the willingness to share with others and to allow others the same freedom of exploration, the realization that everyone has different talents and we need to appreciate each other for our talents, and to make sure that our life is fun and fulfilling. And so now I ask you to recognize how the UU of Sarasota is fun and fulfilling in your life, and to express your appreciation of that with acts of generosity as we take our offering. For those online or those here on your cell phone, there's a link to donate in the description of the YouTube description, as well as a QR code in your order of service. Let the sacred time begin.
It was COVID. Remember that? And I was home a lot. I was doing a lot of music by myself. And so I wrote this song thinking of my 2 children, my son and my daughter, who are not, well, they're my kids, but they're big now. Well, they're not big, but they're older. I'm watching them get older. I'm not, they are. It's called Child of the Times. Celebrate the love inside you, sparkle in your eyes, all the strength and goodwill you bring into this life. And the story's far from over, more blessings to receive. The love that I once gave you is coming back and blessing You're a child of the time, child of the times. You wanted to know everything. You were always asking questions. And I prayed for guidance so that I could answer them. Now the hand of heaven guides you, and I hope that you can see people trying, people striving to make love reality. Just for a while, I'll call you mine. But you're a child of the time, of the world and time. I used to sing you lullabies beneath the moon and stars, and to this day that love remains cradled in my heart. Now when I'm no longer with you, and in the great beyond, you will hear an angel sing and recognize my song. Just for a while, I'll call you mine. But you're a child of the time, child of the time. Child of the time.
Our next reading is from Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I quote, "If I were to summarize in one sentence the single most important principle that I have learned in the field of interpersonal relationships, it would be this: seek first to understand, then to be understood. This principle is the key to effective interpersonal communication. Seek first to understand involves a deep shift in paradigm. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. They do. And again, I don't know why I just hit the home key, but that's just the way things go sometimes. Trying to be efficient, not using paper, but that is part of what happens when we try to be eco-friendly. It's not always easy. We have to really kind of ease our way into it, and there are setbacks, right? Some failures sometimes. You just keep going. So anyway, they listen with the intent to reply. They're either speaking or preparing to speak. They're filtering everything through their own paradigms, reading their autobiography into other people's lives. A father once told me, and I quote, "I can't understand my kid. They just won't listen to me at all." "Let me restate what I heard you say," I replied. "You don't understand your son because he won't listen to you." "That's right," he replied. "Let me try that again. You don't understand your son because he won't listen to you." "That's what I said," he impatiently replied. "I thought that to understand another person, you needed to listen to them," I suggested. Oh, he said, And then there was a long pause. Oh, yeah, but I do understand him. I know what he's going through. I went through the same thing myself. I guess that I don't understand why he won't listen to me. So this man didn't have the vaguest idea of what was really going on inside his son's head. He looked into his own head and thought he saw the world, including his child. And now, one more time, ContinUUm.
Hopefully we will be very highly effective up here. Okay. This is part of it, you know. If we didn't have an audience, this would just be another rehearsal. So thank you for being here.
One more part, Amy.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So, all right. I think we're ready. Okay. This song was made popular by Mike and the Mechanics about the benefit of really listening to one another and expressing our love while in the living years. Every generation blames the one before, and all of their frustrations come beating on your door. I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and fears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Crumbled bits of paper filled with imperfect thoughts, stilted conversations. I'm afraid that's all we got. No, I just don't see it.
You know it doesn't make any sense.
Just can't get agreement in this present tense. We all talk a different language, talking in defense. Say it loud, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. So we open up a quarrel between the present and the past. We only sacrifice the future. It's the bitterness that lasts. So don't yield to the fortune you sometimes see as fate. You may have a new perspective on a different date. And if you don't give up, you don't give in, you may just be okay. Say it loud, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away. I didn't get to tell him all the things I had to say.
think I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Everybody!
Say it loud.
Say it clear.
Say it clear.
Say it clear.
You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late.
It's too late.
When we die,
When we die.
to admit we don't see eye to eye.
I wish I could have told him.
I wish I could have told him.
In the living years.
Thank you. So you may be thinking about my first reflection. What does Little League have to do with Father's Day? And so this concept of what winning means is still part of our mythology. And in order to change how we live, we need to change how we are trained. Fathers were the hunter-gatherers, fathers were the achievers, mothers were the nurturers. It was an ongoing cyclical thing, and this is how our parents saw their parents, and so forth and so on. Of course, this is not true in many, many cases, right? But this was a general culture for much of American history. And funny thing happens to culture, though, it changes over time, right? More and more of our societies changes, more of the responsibilities of parenting now falls upon both parents in society. Now fathers are just as often nurturing parents in families. Gender roles in parenting are no longer cut and dried as they were in generations past. You know, what does it mean to have a gender role in parenting when with same-sex couples or gender non-conforming couples who have children, right? Those gender roles are just thrown out the door in general today, right? And that's a good thing. I'll call it parenting roles, okay? Parenting roles in general are becoming more complex, especially even thinking about with multiple step-parents and multiple step-grandparents. Just time for the holidays for everybody. It's hard to keep up with. But that previous generation, I'm thinking about, you know, my parents' generation, they often didn't have to consider these things, right? We'd been conditioned to think that a man or a woman, due to their gender, has a specific parenting skill. But we need to change those preconceived notions to face the reality that we live in today. That is what our religion does. It calls on us not to look to the past, but to look to how things are today and how we want them to be in the future. But how do we change once we've been trained, once our brains have been conditioned to think within a certain way? Well, we will have no choice, for the time is here and now, and often through trial and error, we will have to find our way. For my generation, we often had no male role models to model nurturing behavior, and I am generalizing here from my personal experience and those of my friends and contemporaries who I grew up with in our middle-class upbringing. Our fathers were not the great intimate communicators. They were quiet men of integrity who went to work every day and came home at night and asked us to just be thankful for the opportunity that we had that they didn't have. Which is true. It was true. And that, of course, continued this whole alienation cycle. I think this was epitomized in the movie City Slickers with Billy Crystal. A woman, while talking to a group of men, asks, She doesn't understand why men are so obsessed with baseball. Like, who played third base for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1960? Anybody know? Shout it out. Don Hoke. I didn't hear everybody's answer, but Don Hoke is the right answer. And then they said one of the men said the reason they were obsessed about baseball was that no matter how bad things got with his father, when they couldn't talk about anything else, they could always talk about baseball. And I think there is a lesson there. The lesson is that talking about anything is better than talking about nothing, but talking about something meaningful is better than talking about anything. And I think the blending of this integrity and the authenticity of who we are and how we live our lives and learning how to communicate that with our children will make it easier for each generation that follows. The Titanic probably not a good example, but a big ship doesn't just turn on a dime. The Titanic did turn the wrong way on a dime. When you go ad lib, that'll happen sometimes. But it is important, right? Learning how to listen, like we've heard, I mentioned earlier, learning how to listen to our children and understand who they are growing into, which will be something different than who we are. And I wanted to say, I believe it is within each one of us. I do believe every person has the seed of nurturing within them, waiting to be released, a natural hunger to nurture, right? We just have to look within for it, and then we just have to sort of water that seed. It needs to be cultivated. For I can tell you, when I look into my children's eyes, and not just when they were young infants or even through their teenage years with their blue hair and mohawk haircuts, which they had. Even now, when they are older and out of the house, every time I think of them, everything I was ever taught, everything I was ever conditioned to think just melts away. And all I want to do is protect, to share, to help, to guide, and to love them. It is the universal law that is love. It is still the most powerful force in the universe. And once you have felt that within you, you can never go back to the old way of thinking. You can never go back to the old way of living. You can never go back to the old way of being. We have started down a new path in the evolution of humanity, a path that blends the both of best of human emotion and skills with no preconceived notion of what our roles should be. Our roles will and should be what each of our natural talents lend us to be. How we live our lives, how we dare to challenge the images laid before us, and how we can create new images will allow our descendants to hear a different story and different myths. They will hear the story of fathers hunting for truth and awareness with a nurturing love to help guide their families. And as we write these stories with each succeeding generation, it will just become a common, everyday occurrence. These will not be stories of alienation, but of integration. Stories not of separation, but of interdependence. One day we will live in a time where winning means sharing with others, caring for others, loving others. May it be so. Please rise and by the Andor Spirit for our closing hymn 348, Guide My Feet.
Praise God.
words are from the Jewish Talmud. A famous scholar once saw on his travels an old man planting a seed of a fruit tree. He asked him when he thought the tree would bear fruit. After 40 years was the reply. Do you expect to live for 40 years and eat fruit from that tree? I did not find the world desolate when I entered it, said the old man, and my ancestors planted for me before I was born. So do I plant for those who will come after me. Please join me now in extinguishing our chalice, for which the words are up on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth, be well, have joy, be happy, do good. Thank you for being here today.